Another big question.
Okay.
In a world that we all have the potential to awaken, why is there this contrast of good and evil?
Okay. So, what's good and evil? I'm going to put it back at you. What do you perceive as good and evil?
Well, I guess it's the contrast of one side versus the other side. Like in wars, there's one side versus the other side.
Which one is evil? Let's take just, what happened in America, right, with ISIS, and Al-Qaeda and America. Axis of evil, it was called over there, right? The axis of evil. But they looked at America saying, that's evil. So it's just perspective. It's just our perspective. Good and evil is like, this world that we live in, this human world, right? It cannot exist unless there's the opposite. Like if you take a plate, right? The plate has to have two sides. How could it possibly exist if there was one side?
Okay.
There has to be another side to it, otherwise it's not there. There's the top and the bottom. Without the bottom, there is no top. There has to be the other side. That's what holds this human stuff, this physical world together, right? So then we put our ideas on it of good and evil, okay? It's just your view, okay? Because I said to someone one day who was, when we were talking about this stuff back then, I said, you're religious, they're religious. You want to strap a bomb to you? They're like, no way. I'm like, they do. They believe in their religion so much, they will strap a bomb to themselves and blow themselves up. That's how much faith they have. How strong is yours? Well, you don't want to do it, do you? Right? So where's the evil, right? It's just how we look at things. Now, is there in this physical realm good things and bad things? Yes, of course there are. It's not a good thing if I get cancer, right? That's not good, right? But that's the world we live in. That's the human, earthly life that we live. But that has nothing to do with the eternal aware consciousness, right? That is just because of the nature of the physicality of the world. It is how it is. Animals eat each other. That's how they live. I have this on vegan, right? I still eat a plant. Is the plant living? Of course the plant is living. But we have to survive. If we're going to be here, we have to survive. So we have to eat something, right? So I can't eat the pavement, so I have to eat something that's living, right? So that is part of the nature of human and this earth. And if you're not willing to accept that, then you're going to live a miserable life, right? Because you're always going to be anxious about everything. We human beings have the iPhone, AI, all this AI that's coming now that's going to be so much more than what it is now. So we have all this amazing technologies and biology and everything, and we still don't know how to live. As humans, we still don't know how to get along. As a race, as humanity, we still can't even get along. But our iPhones work really well because we don't spend any time on us. We spend all our time on the external, and we think the external is going to give us a great quality of life. And so we chase it, and we chase it, and we chase it. And no matter how much we chase it, we have to chase more because what we're looking for is already here, but we don't think it's here, we think it's out there. That's what religion did to us. Religion said, it's out there. And so we all turned out there when it's right here. All the original teachers, whether it was, Jesus or Muhammad or Buddha, Krishna, whoever you name, the lamas, right? They all said the same thing originally. It's right here. then men, in particular, men, turned it into a dictatorship. This is how it's going to be. I mean, I grew up Catholic, and throughout the ages, lots of men got together and decided this is what it's going to be. And they would argue about what's going to be in and what's going to be out, which had nothing to do with the eternal aware consciousness, nothing to do with the original teachings. They just decided it for control. How are we going to control people? This is how we're going to control people. And it's still happening today. That control is still happening today, and we're still fighting about it. That's a psychosis. It's nonsense, but we're still doing it. We haven't evolved enough to know that we're not this human form. We're experiencing this human form, but we're not it. Because this will be gone soon, right? It'll go away. All of this physicality is made from the earth. Particles from the earth. It's the same material that's made of stars, right? We are literally made of the material of stars, right? This body. And so it decomposes and goes back to what it was, right? So where are you? If the body's gone, right, where are you? Mm-hmm. It's like finding who you are inside of all of that is finding the eternal aware consciousness, which does not die, because it's not part of the living dying process. It's just eternal. Mm-hmm. Right?
So then that makes me wonder what happens to us after we die. Do you know this answer?
Well, I've been there, so have you. Like, we've all gone through the death process many times. So what happens to us after we die? It depends on your awareness, right? If you're not aware, right? So the best way I could describe this in simple terms is that we have more subtle bodies. It's not just this. There are subtle energy parts of us as well, okay? So even after this body dies, you still have a subtle body. It's an energy body. There's different levels of all this anyway. But that has the awareness still, okay? But because the awareness isn't fully awake, it can't really control where it's going or what it's doing, right? So the tendencies that are in that energy form that's still there, those tendencies are what bring you back into physical form. And you don't come back, when the baby's born, it's not there yet. It's a little bit later than that energy enters the body, and then here you are again. But a completely unique individual body and person, again. But then when you become aware, you can remember some of those lives. You can remember some of those lives you had before and who you were. And so as I say to people, when they ask me, what are you going to do after this? I'm like, my goal is to be so aware that I can go anywhere and be anybody I want to be. That's the goal, right? To have that awareness so that when this body goes, no, I'm still like, yeah, what am I doing next? Where am I going to go? What should I do? And have that full awareness to know that. So really depends on your level of awareness, where you're going.
It's fantastic. I want to bring it back to the first question that I had asked you about, good and evil, and you mentioned that there's opposites to the world. Mm-hmm. And the way that you see it, if we are meant to have these opposites, are we going to then continue to have wars and also just smaller micro representations like murder or
yes,
assault? Yes.
So until the human evolves into, it would be almost like a new species, basically, until that evolves to that point, you're going to have this. Sorry, but that's the world of physicality. But see, you do not need to be involved in that psychosis, right? You can step away from it. Now, people will say to me, yeah, but what are you going to do if you're in the middle of a war, right? I didn't want a war here, but I'm in the middle of a war, right? No matter where you are, no matter what's happening, you have a choice to suffer it or not suffer it. You can go through many things that are difficult and hard and painful. I have kidney stones. They hurt a lot. I can either, work with that and the pain and deal with that, or I can suffer with it. I don't want to suffer with it. The suffering is all here. It's emotional, it's mental. You do not need to suffer with it. We're human. Things hurt. We get diseases, we can break a leg, right? Those things hurt. And you have to accept that as part of life on this planet. And wars. So one of the things that people don't realize is that we've all experienced all of it. Throughout the lifetimes that we've lived, we've all experienced the worst and the best, right? So some people are going through that now, some are not, but we've all gone through it. We've all experienced it. Getting beyond that is the awakening, is to know, and while doing so, realize that you do not need to suffer with it. I'll tell you the difference, okay? So I just recently had another kidney stone, okay? So the pain, as people would know who had kidney stone, the pain is intense, right? So I know it's coming because I've had them before. I know what it is. I know what to expect. I know what's coming. And when the time came when the pain got really severe, right? I did everything in my power, everything that I've learned through meditation and through the martial arts to try and, keep my composure through that whole experience. The ambulance driver was quite impressed because I was able to keep my heartbeat down to 65 beats per minute, even with the intense pain. Because I just worked my way through it in what I've learned. But I never once complained about it. I never said anything to the doctors. I thanked all of them. I never complained about it. I never said to people like, this was awful. I can't believe I had that. Why do I get this? I can't believe I get these things. That's the suffering. That's the suffering with it. You don't need to suffer with it. You go through the things that we go through, but there's no need to suffer and get annoyed and like, why me? And go through all this nonsense in your mind. That's when we get stuck in the psychosis of this humanity, when we believe, why me? Why is this happening to me? I can't believe this, what that person did to me. I can't believe they did that to me. That's the suffering of life, And trust me, when I was younger, in my younger days, I would get angry at all this stuff. I would get mad and like, why me? And I can't believe this happened to me. And now, I just couldn't care less. Like, it just doesn't matter, Like, whatever anyone would do to me is like, I don't care. It just doesn't matter. Like, why would I let that control me? It doesn't matter. Call me whatever you want. Fine, whatever. There are people going to listen to this interview and go, that's an idiot. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Do I care? I don't care. If there are people out there that might be helped by this, that's great. If others think this is nonsense, it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. All gurus are mocked. I'm not a guru, but you look what they did to Jesus. People who all through history, people who try to teach stuff were mocked, ridiculed, and some killed, and some tortured, and even the scientists who said, hey, we're not the center of the universe, no, kill that guy. It just happens throughout history. It always happens, But that's the psychosis looking at the awakened going, you're out of your mind, you're crazy, because they're stuck in the psychosis. They cannot recognize it,